All right, good afternoon. Start with injury. And again, it's a projection. We had the walkthrough today. So, Tez would not practice today. So he's got the shin. And again, he's working through that. And, we're hopeful on that one. We'll see where it goes. Brisker, right, and Gordon, again, we'll see where that goes this week. Again, those guys have been out for a couple weeks now, but we'll see where that goes leading into tomorrow. In the offensive line, Karan had the calf. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get back with that. Talk about Karan there, and then Braxton Jones knee. We'll see where that goes. It's something that he's working through, but that looks. We'll see where that is, and then 76 right there. Tevin was limited today, and then Larry Bourne was full, and then the window is opened up for Ryan Bates. So that's a good thing for us too. But so that's the injury. In terms of the O-line depth, again, we'll stay with the guys that have been in there. They've done a good job. We did a nice job of running the ball if they're all available to us. So we'll see where that goes. Don't really have the answers for that, as we go. But a solid job by the O-line and the offensive staff of cross-training those guys, as you saw in the last game, being able to plug and play those guys as we go through that. But and then in terms of the Washington conversation, in terms of what that going back to that, I've talked with Tyreek. Him and I had a great conversation, and again, I'll keep it there with him and I. We had a after action report, like we always do when we assess the game. Things we did well, things we need to improve on, and then working from that and how we're going to improve those things. Every single week we do that, and we had that part of our Monday meeting, and and talking to the guys through Tuesday. And again, it's all about accountability and execution, and that starts with me. And the game didn't finish the way we wanted it to, and again, that starts with me. And we hold each other accountable that way. But again, we'll have answer for those things, and that's why we do the after action report. And then really, this is about Arizona, right? So now we're on to Arizona, and it's a big week for us. Jonathan Gann has done an awesome job of turning that thing. In the last 4 games, he's 3-1 in the last 4 games, just like we are, and he's an outstanding coach. I had a chance to coach with him, at the Colts, and it's been really good. He's done a really good job there, and he's a heck of a man and a really good leader. Team meeting, we talked about the keys to victory. It went well, and then we did the walkthrough. So why walkthrough today? That's the question. And I would say that because of our O-line, a little bit banged up on the O-line, if we did the walkthrough practice, got a chance to get everybody reps, and it was beneficial based on the numbers that the performance gave me for a lot of other folks too. But that was really why, and to get those guys in there. I met with the captains this morning, and what I got out of that meeting was, belief, trust, determined, to have a really good Wednesday and a really good preparation week for this game against Arizona. So with that, I'll take questions.
Matt, is Tyreek going to start on Sunday?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to talk about, the Tyreek in terms of starting, not starting, all those things. But I will say this, that Tyreek's made a lot of plays for this group and for our defense and for our football team over the last couple years, and he's going to continue to do that. So we're behind Tyreek, and we're with him all the way. And again, we'll work through this as we go.
Your system stresses discipline. It stresses the hit system. Doesn't this violate all of that? And if it does, should he be made an example?
Yeah, the hits principle is based on that, and you can see that coming to fruition with a lot of parts of our team, and it's important that everybody abides by that on every single play. And again, it's a high standard, and we got to do a good job with that on every single play.
What's the penalty when you don't abide by that?
Yeah, again, like I said, it's we'll see where everything goes with that. I appreciate your question, and I understand where you're going with it. And again, I'm not going to talk about who's starting, who's not starting, all those things. Those conversations we had together, individually, one-on-one.
Matt, you mentioned your meeting with the captains. At least half of those guys came out on either Monday or Tuesday and expressed concern with either coaching decisions or the sharpness of practice. How do you retain the belief in them and the group, and how do you feel it, as you said you did?
Yeah, I trust those guys. I believe in those guys. We had great conversations this morning, and those guys have done a great job leading this team, and they're going to continue to do it this week, leading from the inside out. I talked about leading from the front, and all 8 of those guys are great leaders. And, to me, That was the main conversation this morning.
How do you retain their belief in you as the leader of the team?
Yeah, you'd have to ask those guys. I'm going to be the man that I've been and the leader that I've been, and just be steady all the way through the process. We're a team that's growing and we're a team that's getting better, and we'll work through this adversity.
Matt, as a follow-up to that, I mean, do you have a sense that right now is a time where you need to regroup and really get things on the right track? Does this feel like a pivotal moment to you?
Yeah, I've said it before. Every week in the NFL is the week, and this is the week this week. And we're at Arizona, very good football team. They've won a couple games close at the end, and executed well, run the ball really well. I mean, Connor and that offensive line does a great job. The ability for the quarterback to run as well. That's going to be a big thing for our defense, and and they've done a good job on their defense has done a good job of really mixing things up and creating some confusion for a lot of offenses. So it's a very unique defensive style. But again, we're going to focus on those guys.
Jeff, when you lose that,
Go ahead.
when you lose a game that way, and the conversation of the last couple of days, what do you need to see from this group to know that they've not only turned the page, but that those words won't linger?
Yeah, just by their actions, right? I could feel it in the team meeting today. The conversations we had on Monday and on Tuesday, I thought there was a really productive. And like I said, this is a determined group, resilient group, and those guys are we got the right men in the locker room to get that done, and the right men in the building to get that done. So I'm confident in those guys and trust those guys.
Matt talked about in regards to the Tyreek Stevenson play that it's a good lesson in how to respect the game. But he also said that there were examples of that throughout the week of practice last week leading up to it. Can you provide more on that, of what's going on in practices right now?
Yeah, so I talked to Cole with that, but it's really about wiring in on every single play, and that's really what it is every single week. And again, you have to ask him exactly what he was referring to. I don't know exactly what it was, but we had a general conversation about it's about wiring in, cycle of the staff, making sure we're doing our job, and being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
On that note, Cole was asked about this the other day. I know Keenan mentioned in London, this is a player-led team. What does it say about the culture of this team that players feel comfortable if there's something they don't agree with, whether it's a coaching decision, execution of a teammate, that they can voice that publicly?
Yeah, and again, you need to voice that, okay, one-on-one to everybody. That's important that you do that to the person that you need to do it to. It doesn't matter. It could be the person that's next to you, the guard or the tackle or your teammate, or the coach, your position coach or the coordinator or myself. And we have that policy that, hey, it's open communication. And if it's done in the right way with respect, and if it's done in the right way in the theme of winning, about winning football, winning habits, then we're all in for that.
Coach, I think you've done a really good job in terms of building a culture in that locker room. But are you at all concerned, and obviously I don't know the conversations you may have with Ryan Poles or Mr. Warren, but the perception, like part of the culture I guess would be that you don't necessarily criticize coaches or players publicly. I don't know how you do it behind the closed doors, but the perception may become that there is no accountability, that people don't get dealt with for doing things, not only what Tyreek did, but play calls like the goal line, the Doug Kramer, all those types of things. When you have 4 such games like we've had the past couple of years where you lose games that you had a really good chance to win, are you worried about that perception in terms of not having that accountability?
Yeah, we do what we do in the building, and there is accountability here, and we hold each other accountable to it, and that's what I know in the building. So perceptions are, what they are, Herb, and I appreciate your question. But in the building, we hold each other accountable. It's about our circle and the men in the building.
Matt, when you went back and looked at the Hail Mary, in the moment, did you notice Tyreek having his back to the snap? Did anybody upstairs notice it? And if they did, why wasn't there a timeout?
Yeah, Pat. So we talked about all those things on Monday, and on Tuesday, and had a private conversation with Tyreek, and I'm going to leave it there.
Why not call a timeout before that play regardless? What's the logic of not calling?
Like I
timeout?
said,
Just make sure everyone's got their assignments, everyone knows where they should be.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate your question there. And again, like I said, that's part of the after-action report, and we're looking at all those things, what we could do better, how we can improve. And again, we did that on Monday and Tuesday, and those conversations are in-house.
If there's not a significant and clear consequence for Tyreek, how doesn't that send a message that, depending on how good you are, depending on how talented you are, we'll let some things slide?
Yeah, the consequences for things, are, we end up lost the game, right? And it's important that we now focus on Arizona, and again, it was hard, no doubt. And again, we're moving on to Arizona, and I think it's important that everybody does that, and that's my job as the head coach to get this group to move on to the preparation for the Arizona game.
When we talked to Kevin Byard, he was being very respectful towards you, but he did say that, he told us that on the second to the last play that maybe you could have had the corners pressed up, and then he said he had a discussion with you. Do you welcome those discussions, and do you see it differently at all now?
Yeah, I do welcome those discussions, because, when you have other people, coaches, players, all on the same page and getting to the right answers, like I said, for next time, or doing things differently or doing things better, we're always doing that with all aspects of the game, and I appreciate his comments.
Thanks, guys.
Got it.